Hello, everyone. Hope you're having a good weekend. It's Dr. Allen here, coming to you from my kitchen on Saturday afternoon. Few things before I kind of get going. Everything should be pretty much up to date with grading. I know there's a few things in the last week or so that I usually operate about a week behind because everything's due on Sunday. Most everything, though, should be up to date grading. Um, Last week was the AI. I hope that was beneficial because honestly, AI is a big part as I kind of mentioned in some of the quit umming here and just kind of get to the point. As I kind of mentioned on some of the posts earlier, AI is becoming such a controversial topic in the world of education. I think it was important that we at least start to look at it. I will not pretend to be an AI expert at this point. I've used it for some things to kind of get familiar with it, but I think I'm excited to read what everyone put on their reviews and what they think of it and things like that. So, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and jump in for what we have to do this week. It's actually tech, but not tech, if that makes sense, because we are going to be doing a little bit of brainstorming with lesson planning. Before I jump into what we're going to do with this, let me just go ahead and add a little disclaimer. I know everyone's experience with lesson planning is going to be vastly different. For some people, you're taking this class post juncture, some of you are taking this class pre juncture. That means some of you have more lesson planning experience, you have more field experience than other people. So this activity is kind of geared to be more of a summary and a brainstorming of lesson planning than an actual lesson plan. Uh, with that being said, it's going to have the basic components and kind of get you thinking in the world of what you need to do for lesson planning. Also, I will say this, uh, I don't know if anyone's put it, I haven't had an opportunity yet to read the AI reflections, but a lot of people are starting to use AI to type in lesson planning templates. They'll say lesson planning templates and they get kind of an outline for it. The ones that I've kind of looked at have actually been pretty good. Uh, Not the lesson plan, they don't actually use the plans themselves or have plans, but it's just a template. So we're not going to do that today, but we are going to kind of brainstorm. So let me just go ahead and jump into what you need to do with this. Excuse me. I do, just for a little heads up, have some classroom management tools that if you want to check out, just to give you a little overview really quick. Class Dojo, I think a lot of you, especially in elementary, are going to be familiar with. That's a classroom tool that a lot of teachers like to do as far as monitoring elementary classes. I don't have anything that I need to see submitted for this, but I wanted to share it if you want to kind of check it out. It deals with avatars and things like that. There's also another one down here that's more geared for middle school called Classcraft. It's where middle schoolers get avatars that look like World of Warcraft type things, avatars. So feel free to check that out. There's also some apps. Uh, it's one of those things where there's nothing you can actually submit, but I wanted to at least give some resources if you want to check them out. So these are tech, classroom management tech type tools. So that was a mouthful. Just classroom tech for classroom management. Also, I have Bookit. I know a lot of people are familiar with Bookit, but this was one that I was toying back and forth about making it an assignment, and I think I even referenced it in another one. Again, Bookit is here. I might actually dive into that in the next couple of weeks because we have a little bit of, I don't want to say free time, it's an online class, but there's a little bit of openings where I think I can show that. So if you want to check Bookit out, that's fine. If not, I think I'm going to touch on it next week or the following week. So now for this week, your assignment, you're going to have a template. I'm going to pull it up and you're going to put certain things in there. Let me just say this. You only need three. When I pull up the template, you need to fill in three of the blocks. I want you to envision this as a unit, not so much as just one individual lesson plan. And what I mean by that, like if I was teaching about the Renaissance, I would have three different topics that I'm looking at. So maybe one might be the great art, one might be um, humanism, and another one might be related to the leaders of the Renaissance, something along those lines. Uh, so with that being said, so if you're doing math, it's got to all kind of connect. Also, I want to see a different type of tech in each one of these brainstorming things. You can have repeat tech. So like for lesson one, you may have Google Classroom. That's fine. You can have Google Classroom in lesson two, but you're only getting credit for Google Classroom once. So the second one should have something like a Nearpod or a Kahoot or a Wakelet or a Padlet or something that maybe even we haven't used yet, but you want to put it in here. And let me just say, I'm not going to count PowerPoints. I'm also not going to count Chromebooks. I'm also not going to count even whiteboards at this point, because it's just something we haven't looked at. I want you to use specific tech. It doesn't necessarily have to be one that you talked about. It could be Pear Deck, which I know some of you did. It could be quizzes, any of that. Book it, which I just showed, but it has to be 3 different techs. So I think I have a sample up here, but let me pull the document up. Slowly pull the document up. As you can see, this is a Word document. You are going to download the document and you're going to type. You're going to have to put overall standards and objectives. They're just going to be here. You can basically just do 1, 2, and 3. 4th, I put in there because some people like to have the whole flow, because if they're out in the field, they like to just go ahead and map everything out. But you really technically have to have 3. When you go into this, excuse me, I'm just going to hiccup. When you go into this, you have to have your learning standards and objectives. And when I say standards, I want your West Virginia, or if you're going to teach in another state, your other state objectives. When you do, I know writing objectives, again, that's going to be one of those things where we're kind of all at different levels. But if you've ever seen your student will be able to SWBAT, student will be able to bloom, bloom, bloom. That's what I want to see. Just it only needs to be 1 or 2 for each lesson. It doesn't have to be like 45. Just like student will be able to identify Renaissance paintings through the completion of a Nearpod or something like that. Summary of activities is just a brief explanation of what you're planning on doing. I don't need super detailed plans, just kind of like what you're trying to teach. I have a sample, so I'll show you. And also you can bullet this stuff. Again, list the technology. 21st century skills, I mentioned way back at the beginning. I think it was in August or September. I have a link just to kind of show you, and I'll rehash those here in a few minutes. And I do want you to explain how you're going to assess this. Again, I don't know how much everyone has gotten into formative and summative assessments, but I just, any way you're going to assess it, if it's going to be through a Nearpod, if you're going to have them write a paper at the end of the unit, if you're going to have them have a quiz or a test, please put it in here. I just want to see how this is all connecting. So lesson 1, again, if I was doing the Renaissance, might be artist. 2 might be humanism. And 3, actually, I like this a little better. It could be the Northern Renaissance. So that's kind of it. And I'll jump back out of here, but this is the template. You need to download this. When you go back there, I'll come back to here, but this is your West Virginia state standards. And when you go here, you can look up slowly whatever area you're going to teach in. So I am definitely middle and secondary. And when you get in here, you can see there's different content areas. I'm social studies. I'm going to click there. And you can see there's the grades, there's the high school. So when I go in here, if you've never looked at this, I think this is very important to check out. But I can go through and look at my standards and kind of that. I only need 1 standard for each lesson. You should not be putting like 10 standards for each lesson. I would say 2, possibly 3 would be what you might be teaching, but usually it's 1 or 2. So just kind of think about it a little bit. Get familiar with this. This is something you're going to be doing. This is going to be your career. So check those out. The link is there. When you go back down here, there's also the 21st century skills. Again, you can just bullet these. I'm not asking for great details. Same way with the standards. I'm going to pull those standards back up. I do want you to do this for me though. When you do the standards, I'm just going to pull up the civics because it's right there. I want the whole thing. I don't want SS61, which is social studies, 6th grade, standard 1. I want the whole thing, apply the process of how a bill becomes a law. I don't want to have to go back in and look up each standard in the thing. So please, I don't care if you cut and paste it in there. That's the standard is the standard. So then we can go over here to 21st century skills. And let's see, as you can see, there's a whole bunch. I just need 1 or 2 that you're going to have your lesson connect to. I just want to see here one thing. Yeah, this is what I was looking for. When you go in, make sure you look at all of these and what skills you think your students are going to meet. And I don't want learning skills. I don't want literacy skills. I don't want life skills. I don't want those specific terms. I want critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, communication. The big four, those are kind of the big four. But any of these work. But I want you to list them in there, which ones you think your lesson incorporates. Again, I'd like to see different ones and on the scores or on the score sheet in the lesson plan. I do have a specific rubric. So that is something when I'm scoring it that'll be there. And I think that should be the big nuts and bolts of it. Here's the sample, just if you need one. As you can see, someone put on there, they had one that was on there. Students will be able to compare and contrast aspects of the That's a nice example of an objective. This is a nice example. As you can see, learning example, they had all of them in there, but that's all right. But as you can see, they have a little summary of what's going on. That's probably going to be the one that you'll write the most information on, is the summary of the activities. You can see Ed Puzzle. And then you can bullet. This person did not do that, but you can bullet the technology that's going to be used, because you're probably going to reference in here in the write-up. A summary of activities really is probably going to be your main paragraph or the only big paragraph that you do. The rest you can definitely list or summarize. And there you go. I like how this person did this. I would strongly recommend doing this, the formative assessment and the summative assessment, and how you're going to do it for your lesson. And again, if you've had Dr. Johnson already, or if you've had Dr. Johnson, or a lot of you will have Dr. Johnson, she talks about many summative assessments, and a lot of times exit tickets do fit that mold, depending how you do it. And as you can see, this example is still up. But again, I would just say this: make sure you have your standards and learning objectives. If you notice how this person did this, I don't have any problems with this. As long as your standards are up here, like the state standards, and you have your objectives there, as long as I can see it, I'm fine with that. So if you want to just treat this as your standards, state standards, and these are your objectives, that's fine. There's more than one way to kind of complete the assignment. And again, the rest of this, you'll write, like I say, you'll write that out as a paragraph, and you can actually, this person did, but you can bullet that type of stuff. I think that is mainly it. You have your objectives. I'll put some objective writing tools on there. Again, I do come in this understanding that people are at different levels of at points of the program. So if you do have questions, you're welcome to ask. But that's the only assignment this week, is the brainstorming activity. Because I think if you're doing it right, it'll take a little bit of time. I do try to get those graded pretty quick. My goal is I should have everything technology-wise up to date, minus the AI activity up to date by Sunday. So I'll grade those next week, and then I'll just roll right into the lesson planning. That's it. I hope everyone is getting through the semester. We're getting close to the end, weirdly, believe it or not. Hope if you're out in the field, it's going well. Thank you for letting me hiccup there. I'm embarrassed to do that, but hey, I'm not going to stop. I think it was all the excitement. I had what is it, bubbly? I think it's the drink bubbly. I had one of those before I went on the air here, so to speak. So enough about that and my hiccups. So with that being said, again, hang in there. If you have any questions, stop by. I do like that people stop by and ask me questions during the week. I've met a lot of people face to face, because they'll come in and say, hey, I'm so-and-so from your tech class. It is great. I know we did the arts and culture thing, but it's great to actually see a live face in my office to kind of put it together with the class. So with that being said, hang in there. I'll try to get this, you'll know it when you see it, but I'll try to get this up a little earlier this week so you can go ahead and get going on the lesson plans. And if you have any questions or issues with the template, just feel free to contact me, or any questions at all with any of this. And now I'll get off of here and tell everyone have a good Saturday. So talk to you later. Bye.